Alright, hello and welcome to this round of the Super Metroid Randomizer Accessible Tournament, or SMRAT for short. We have a really exciting match today. I believe it is Tilimorf versus Xerolayne. Both some pretty established competitors. So hopefully we'll have a pretty neat race before us. Yep, so Tilimorf, if I am not mistaken, the mouse bracket champion of the previous SMRAT tournament. I believe Xerolayne's been around for a while as well. I don't know how he finished last SMRAT tournament. But either way, both of our runners very skilled, and this should be an exciting matchup. Okay, Zero was semi-finalist in the mouse bracket last time. Oh, this is the semi-final rematch. Very nice. Yeah, that's something interesting we can see with Swiss tournaments is we can have some really stacked matchups pretty early on. And it looks like both of our runners will be getting underway shortly. Now the SMRAT tournament, the SMRAT is a full randomizer that is designed to be as accessible as possible. With the only tricks within logic being wall jumps, vertical shine sparks, and infinite bomb jumps. If you can't get it using strategies that the game itself taught you plus infinite bomb jump, then you won't be able to get it overall. Or you obviously our runners throughout this will be sequence breaking, however. Both of our runners very skilled. Alright, and it looks like we are about to get started here. Any early predictions as to which suit we will find first, Gravity or Varia? The two suits within Super Metroid and where our runners find them will often contribute to the biggest decisions in routing that we will see, as hell runs are not in logic whatsoever, so our runners will not necessarily be going down to Lower Norfair, except maybe to check those few high jump item locations, up until they have Varia. So Varia's suit can open up Norfair, and I believe gravity is required for Lower Norfair, however both of our runners feel very comfortable doing Lower Norfair without gravity. Meanwhile, gravity just opens up the entire game, so I know a lot of SMRAT runners will actually prefer not to see that early gravity, because it makes you have to make some difficult choices. Alright, and we have a prediction started as to which suit will be found first. So, go and use your channel points to bet to see which suit you think we're going to be finding today. Alright, and our runner's starting off with just an E-Tank. Pretty standard start. Nice to see, and just lets you feel a bit safer. if both of our suits are in Gauntlet exit, I guess it'll come down to which one gets grabbed first. Yep, and we see our runners heading back up. Back in Criteria now. Didn't really find anything. The supers are nice. We've seen some seeds with late super missile pickups, and those can be really frustrating. They can force you to skip a lot of checks and have your routing be just miserable. And both of our runners are going to be checking Bomb Torizo. They need either power bombs or bombs here. And they do find that power bomb pack. So now that's giving them logical access to Brinstar. And an interesting quirk with the way that Super Metroid works. Bomb Torizo does not actually get activated unless you have the bomb item, so both of our runners are able to just skip him entirely. And both of our runners performing a trick known as Alcatraz, doing wall jumps into a neat midair morph there. That is one of the first tricks that many speedrunners will learn once they've learned the basic sequence breaks. Alright, and an X-ray scope at 230 missiles. Xerolayne didn't want to check 230 missiles. Tilimorf went for it, however, and he found an X-ray scope. Not going to do much for our runners right now. However, if they do find charge in plasma, they can perform a glitch known as the microwave, which will allow them to defeat certain bosses very quickly. Oh, and I think Xerolayne just KO to KO there. Yep, both of our runners like to check the back of Gauntlet. I like this a lot. It's a very quick play. It's +1 on power bombs if you need it. And obviously it lets you get that Gauntlet check out of the way, barring something really nice being at front of Gauntlet, which we have seen in multiple seeds today. Alright, and Xerolayne finds the tank with no E. It's not a phenomenal item within randomizers. It does have its uses. However, most people will opt to skip them in many situations, especially after the first. Yep, and we see Tilimorf right now just a couple rooms behind Xerolayne as a result of that 230 missiles check. Alright, and so far this has been a very slow seed. Our runners haven't picked up anything that will give them any idea of sort of where they want to be going. However, obviously, Pink Brinstar can often hold a treasure trove of items, so I think we can expect both of our runners to make every check that they can there. Yeah, and a nice save from Tilimorf, almost falling into the pit in Edakun's. That can lose a significant amount of time. Alright, we have Xerolayne entering Big Pink right now. Yep. Now, the next room with Mission Impossible is a little bit scary as there are some big side hoppers that can deal like 80 damage apiece. However, with 3 tanks, Xerolayne doesn't have to worry about anything. No, unless I am mistaken, our runners have still only found Morph Ball. It's a little bit of an awkward position to be in. Oh, and there we have our first major item besides Morph in high jump boots. Now, high jump boots is one of my personal favorite items in the game. It's like Space Jump but better. So that's going to give our runners better movement and open up a lot of things. Perhaps most notably, it is a worst room in the game item, even though it doesn't give our runners logical access to Lower Norfair. Both of our runners are more than capable of performing the wall jump in worst room in the game. Yep, and we see both of our runners lining up to make a kind of weird shot. This is known as Spore Spawn Skip, and if you fire a super missile with just the correct positioning, I think it has to do with like screen wraparounds or something, you can destroy that super missile block and skip the Spore Spawn fight entirely, saving quite a bit of time. Yep, and we immediately followed up with another glitch here. Xerolayne's not doing it correctly though, forgets about those high jump boots. Ooh, and expends all of his missiles for it. This is known as the reverse green gate glitch. Our runners with the correct positioning will fire a super that accelerates enough to where it effectively clips through the gate. One frame it's to the left, and the next frame it's far enough to the right to hit that button. Yeah, being rewarded with that trash can, not really what you want to see, especially when you've already found one. If you know how to use reserves to save yourself, then the first reserve can be a little bit nice. And there are some very advanced glitches, most notably G mode, that can be used, but they have limited uses and arguable legality within SMRAT. Yep. And we see both of our runners hopping back into Retro Brinstar here to check the couple of items they couldn't before because they didn't get early power bombs. If they convert this into a criteria and wrecked ship play that is a reverse meme route. However, I would be at least a little bit surprised to see either of our runners go for wrecked ship here. There's no logical access and no items to even make it easy. The only way our runners would have to get across would be a very difficult trick known as the continuous wall jump. Ooh, and Tilimorf is having a little bit of trouble jumping through the door. Yeah, absolutely. This seat is really making them work for any sort of progression. Not only do our runners not have a great idea of where to go next because they don't have any items, each check is also made harder by that. Yes, I do like to call the continuous wall jump the Carly Way Jepsen. I can't read it any other way, unfortunately. Yep, so after all that frustration, Tilimorph still only gets, I believe is what, a missile in any tank? And our fourth power bomb pack below Old Mother Brain. Yeah, so the two supers in the back of Gauntlet make it maybe slightly more tempting than if it were just missiles there. However, SMRAT logic is designed to have a higher concentration of super missiles than the vanilla game. However, ammo is nice, and at this point I'm sure our runners would like to see any sort of progression. Yeah, Xerolayne probably breathing a sigh of relief upon just seeing X-ray at 230 missiles. If Tilimorph had checked that and it had been something, that would have been disaster for Xerolayne. Alright, and Tilimorph here will be checking climb supers. He has no way of accessing them without speed. However, it's nice to know what's at this location while you're here. It's one of the most sickening screens to look at, though. Who gets up there and it's just a missile. It's still nice to have that knowledge. Uh, if we have a check where we're running around for Varia or something, once we've found speed, then at least Tilimorph knows he doesn't have to come back here. Yeah, and Xerolayne here is trying to wall jump into Gauntlet. Interesting strategy. Goes for 3 wall jumps up there instead of 2 like we might see from Tilimorph. So chat asking logically where progression can be. Progression could be further down Red Tower. It could be up Red Tower at Alpha and Beta power bombs. Or no, it couldn't because you need some sort of up logic to get there. Yeah. So within SMRAT, up logic is would refer to what you would need either ice beam. In this specific case, you would need either ice beam or like space and screw to get up Red Tower. I'm not sure. Yeah, Kraid and high jump boots can be holding something. There are still locations for our runners to check. Oh, right, yeah, you can logically enter Red Tower from the top. Duh. So Alpha and Beta power bombs are both in play. Xerolayne checks moat. I think that's a fair check to make while you're here. And now he will be going into red tower. So red tower doesn't necessarily have to have progression. We could, for example, see an item at Spazer with those high jump boots. Crate is in logic. High jump boots locations are also in logic. However, that's pretty much it, I think. I'm sure both of our runners are feeling extremely frustrated at this point. If either of our runners had skipped those, or each runner does not know the path that the other has taken, so it's possible either runner believes the other just skipped the criteria checks. However, Xerolayne finding 2 items within bomb and charge beam. Bomb is a sucky thing to find because that opens up a couple of weird locations. Infinite bomb jump is one of the tricks within the SMRAT preset that is in logic. So that, for example, opens up criteria power bombs, which I expect neither of our runners to go back and check. They are both fairly likely to just head back down red tower. We see Xerolayne doing that right now. Did they? I'm not 100% if they checked Green Hill Zone. I believe they did. I think it was just like power bombs or something. Xerolayne finds space jump. Now, if we find either suit, that will put wrecked ship in logic. Because this is designed to be an accessible preset, in order to access Fantoon through the game's logic, you have to have either 12 E-tanks, suitless, 6 with Varia, and either 2 or 3 with gravity. I believe the last time I was corrected and somebody said it was only 2 with gravity. Okay, and Tilimorf wants that criteria power bombs. It's possible he's assuming that Xerolayne didn't go reverse meme route, and figures if something isn't at criteria power bombs, he's just way behind. Ooh, and we find grapple. We're seeing a lot of major items, but none of them are really what we want or need. Like at this point we're really just looking for suits. Yep, and Xerolayne is entering his Kraid fight right now. He will be attempting, or it looks like he will not be attempting a trick known as the Kraid quick kill, unless he's going for the charge method, or just has a different positioning setup. Yeah, so Xerolayne, struggling a little bit with the Kraid fight. Doesn't take too long though. And yes, Tilimorf is going to wreck ship. which does have some checks in logic. For example, that missile in the ocean that Tilimorf is checking right now. Now, Tilimorf does not know this is in logic, as he has not found space jump or grapple. I'm not sure what the item at the top was, Simo. I I don't know how to do the peek that way, truthfully, so I couldn't quite tell what the very bottom of the item was. Alright, and did Xerolayne check high jump boots before Kraid? Or did he just skip the high jump boots check? Huh. That's a really interesting decision from Xerolayne, and it could end up costing him, as there aren't many locations we have left that something could be. He's checking X-ray right now. With that space jump, X-ray is in logic. Yeah, and Tilimorf is entering his Fantoon fight. This is a little bit dangerous. If I'm not mistaken, each one of those flames does 40 damage suitless. And yeah, we see Tilimorf hurting. And as a result, he has opted to go for a safer strat, using supers and then the pseudo screw attack to jump rope through these fireballs. I don't blame Tilimorf here. It's much faster to have an extremely slow Fantoon than to die. That was a pretty nice Doppler. Yeah. With the way that Fantoon works, he will not disappear off the screen until he has gone a certain amount of time without taking damage once his eye is open. So if you can time your missile shots just right, you can shoot him way more times than he should get. And that was, despite the enrage, that was a really quick Fantoon. That's really impressive. Yep, and Xerolayne going up for presumably maybe criteria power bombs and then wrecked ship. Nah, just heading straight for wrecked ship. And there it is. There's the Varia suit. That's interesting. Oh, and I get a nice little payout. Net up 2,000 channel points after that. So that means one of two things. Either gravity was in logic before wrecked ship, or we have 12 energy tanks at large. And I don't know if there's enough locations left for there to be that many E-tanks. Yes, reserves do also count as E-tanks. However, we've seen what, two so far? Oh, Tilimorf having a bit of trouble, which is really unfortunate because he wants that ice beam. Ice beam is really useful because it gives our runners access to Botswoon and by extension Dragon, although not logical access through a fancy little clip that you can do with the ice beam, as well as making Turian leagues faster. Yeah, if you, oh yeah, Tilimorph needs to. Yeah, he re-equips his high jump boots there. You can actually get through there by doing some hitbox manipulation for jumping from the crouched position and then aiming down. And both of those things will get your jump to end just a few pixels higher for the bottom of your hitbox. But yes, if you've been looking at Tilimorph's screen and wondering if there's something wrong with a specific part of your monitor, no. Tilimorph is using something that is part of Varia known as customization. Specifically, this is colors randomization. So you can just make the game look a little bit more fun. I personally think it's really hard to play with. Yeah, fun in quotation marks. Uh, I know there are some runners that just go buck wild and allow randomization across the whole color spectrum, which often gets you some lovely puke yellows. Alright, and Xerolayne takes down his Fantoon fight. Not much trouble at all. Take it safe, and just keep going. Okay, apparently it helps some runners who have color visibility issues. So that's really cool. Yeah, obviously one of the goals of this tournament is to allow as many people as possible to play Super Metroid and Super Metroid randomizers. Yeah, the Varia website also has custom Samus sprites you can use, such as the Alice sprite from Toho. It's called Margatroid. Uh, I don't really understand Toho, but apparently a lot of people really like it. Yeah, and we saw Spring Ball there from Tilimorph's Wrecked Ship Reserve Peak. Unfortunately, Tilimorph's not going to be coming back for that. Yes, I realize that Toho is a bullet hell series. However, it is so much more. Ooh, Screw Attack. Very nice for Tilimorph. Yep, so that was the item that was peaked earlier. Screw Attack is not a necessary item to have to complete the game, however, it makes Lower Norfair much easier. Yeah, and unfortunately, Tilimorph does not have that space jump. So he's just at the at the whim of these worker robots. I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't just go for the infinite bomb jump. It takes a long time either way. And unfortunately, we know from Xerolane's screen it's only a super missile. Yeah, so at this point, Zero is in a really commanding position here. However, if there is something at Bowling Alley that I think this is a really good play though. Presumably Xerolayne has realized from that Varia that gravity almost certainly has to be at high jump boots. Yeah. Yeah, Xerolayne also didn't pick up the Ice Beam at Wrecked Ship E-Tank, and I highly doubt he'll ever come back for that. So if Xerolayne doesn't find speed, then that could be an advantage for Tilimorf. I'm not sure how practiced Xerolayne is with Crystal Flash Clip. It's a very difficult trick. I believe it has been described as a reverse continuous wall jump, or Carly Rae Jepsen as I like to call them, which is to say it is a 2-frame window followed by a frame perfect window for a trick that allows you to clip into Batwoon's room. And Xerolayne being somewhat aggressive here, it looks like he maybe doesn't want to check ice. Alright, we're about to see, is gravity here? Let's see it, Xerolayne. There it is. If Xerolayne can Crystal Flash, Xerolayne is currently in what I like to call a Texas Go mode. He technically can beat the game, however, it would require him to Crystal Flash to get into Dragon, and it would require him to perform a crap ton of charge shots on Mother Brain. Yeah, that sounds right. Either gravity or speed leading to gravity at Bubble Mountain. Because it can't, logically, Gravity Suit cannot be at Waterway. Yeah, Tilimorf picks up Space Jump here. I'm sure he would have loved to have that before Wrecked Ship. And their speed booster. Xerolayne has a pretty commanding lead now, I would say. Yeah, so Ice was Wrecked Ship E-Tank, and that is one of the slower checks in the game. It requires you to go through a pretty scary room called, appropriately, Spiky Death Room. And it takes, what? 1, 2, 3... 3 door transitions to check, and then another 3 to come back. I'll admit, I'm kind of surprised to see Xerolayne make the speed booster check here. After making that ice skip. It's possible he felt it was just worthwhile now that he actually has speed booster. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Xerolayne is looking for some way to beat the game. It's really just coming down to which checks he wants to make. Some people, for sort of an ugly go mode, they like to check anything that doesn't require a door transition. However, Xerolayne's current go mode is really ugly. Like, unless you are practiced with low percent, you're not gonna have a good time on Mother Brain. Yeah, so the best beam he could find here, I think, if he finds Plasma, he just stops making checks. Wave Beam would be a nice pickup if Xerolayne is comfortable doing X Factors on Mother Brain. Not every runner is, as I'm hard pressed to think of a category where doing X Factors to Mother Brain is worth it. Although there are quite a few categories for this game, so there's probably something. Alright, and it looks like Xerolayne is farming here before heading down to Lower Norfair. It's a pretty fast farm here. And this, I personally think it's interesting. This is one of the few rooms in all of Super Metroid where there's really nothing here. It's just that farm spot. Yeah, that's right. Zero, as of right now, will only have 3 X Factors plus any power drops he picks up. As he skipped that Ice Beam, it's going to be an ugly Turian, and that's one of the ways that Tilimorf might be able to catch up. Although Xerolayne is a good bit ahead now. Oh yeah, there's no way Xerolayne checks GT. Generally speaking, if you're this close to feeling comfortable with a go mode, you, unless you want to make nearly every check in the game, you're not going for GT. It takes a really long time, and Lower Norfair very rarely has anything. And we see Xerolayne with that lovely space jump screw attack combo just absolutely demolishing worst room in the game. And Tilimorf is struggling a little bit with figuring out the best way to farm these guys. If you can use them, laying a bomb and using those bomb strats is the ideal way, and it looks like Tilimorf's found the rhythm of it now. Tilimorf doesn't want to just shoot these guys to kill them, as he has the ice beam, so they take an additional shot. Yep, and Xerolayne entering a room known as Wasteland right now. In a world where you don't have screw attack, this room can be really scary. Xerolayne just blasting through it though. Checks power bombs of shame and finds wave beam. Very nice. So if Xerolayne knows how to X Factor, that's optimally effectively an additional 12 super missiles that he could put into Mother Brain through those X Factors. Yeah, so chat asking why that location is called Power Bombs of Shame. That name comes specifically from any percent, where the only reason that you would pick up that item would be if you screwed up your ammo management earlier in the run. For modern strats, often because you fail to get the Shine Spark through the room that Tilimorf is currently in, and yet to lay power bombs to destroy these pillars. Yeah, Heels of Shame in Red Tower, I'm not familiar with that one. Just the energy recharge station, I take it. Yet, and Xerolayne is on his Ridley fight right now. Should be just about over. There we go, very nice from Xerolayne. Yeah, Xerolayne could have X-Factored Ridley. Ooh, and a nice Spazer pickup. The X-Factor is only going to actually save you time if you feel comfortable setting up for those strats, though. Ooh, and a nice backup Kago from Tilimorf there. So what Tilimorf just did is, with the way that Super Metroid works, is knockback, like you won't properly collide through enemies if you are in one of a few animations, the notable one here being entering Morph, and those spike platforms count as enemies, so you're able to just sort of clip right through them, so to speak. It's more complicated than that, but that's the basic gist. But yeah, assuming Tilimorf checks behind Ridley, then he'll have an any percent new route beam, and we'll have a very cozy way to finish the game. For Xerolayne without that ice beam, it'll be less cozy, although he still has more than enough skill to finish this way. I wouldn't be surprised to see Xerolayne skip basically every check from here on out. Maybe a couple of the ones that don't require a door transition. Yep, and Tilimorf didn't check Norfair, or Upper Norfair, so he doesn't have Speed Booster. So that'll make his escape more annoying. And he's also not picking up Spazer. I think it's completely understandable. I mean, Tilimorf is just full-on go mode at this point. But yeah, had a wonderful Ridley as well. Oh, I personally would take Ice over Speed any day, Iron Rusty. Obviously, like, there's a huge asterisk with it depends, especially on when you find it in the run. Spazer over Plasma. Now that is an interesting one. Uh, a little bit of a funny pick given that Spazer is the worst item in the game. Yep. And as Tilimorf is making his Lower Norfair escape, Xerolayne is entering into Meridia. Oh yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want a bunch of trash cans instead of having E-tanks? That's just perfect. Oh, and Xerolayne goes for some space jump strats there, conserving a little bit of energy compared to a Shine Spark you can perform there. But to clarify for chat, Spazer is far from being the worst item in the game. Without Spazer, any percent new route would suck. Specifically the 230th missile. Nah, 230 missiles is a great location. Yeah, the X Factor would make the Botswoon fight faster. However, it's important to remember not everybody necessarily knows the X Factor strats for certain bosses. Oh, and Xerolayne makes a valiant attempt at at full halfy there. Thankfully, the space jump makes Coliseum still really fast without halfy. I believe just Shine Sparking up to the top and then using Space Jump is comparable at least to halfy. Yep, and we're about to see Tilimorf perform what's known as the Machtroid Ice Clip. Hopefully. Whoa. There we go. Tilimorf gets it with a little bit of trouble. And so, jumping up and then manipulating your hitbox to aim down allows you to land on top of that Machtroid, and doing so pushes you up just enough so that you can clip through those blocks there. And a very nice quick grapple from Xerolayne. Getting to avoid having Dragon swing you around and hit you a couple of times is very nice. Meanwhile, Tilimorf has a slightly more frustrating fight with Botswoon. Space jumping it is faster than halfy, followed by space jumping. It might be that optimal space jumping is comparable to full halfy. I don't know. Chabo probably has a video somewhere comparing them. Yep, and we saw a little bit of a high five there. And Plinskin LD, thank you for the raid. For those who are just joining us, we are in a race of the Super Metroid Randomizer Accessible Tournament. So this is a randomized item location Super Metroid seed where any item can be anywhere. However, there's a certain logic that makes sure that items can't be in places that our players wouldn't be able to access with basic techniques taught through Super Metroid. Most notably, vertical shine sparking, infinite bomb jumping, and wall jumps. Ooh, and a nice quick grapple from Tilimorf. Yep, so Xerolayne is stopping to refill at the ship. Getting all of his super missiles back is really nice, and I didn't quite catch where his power bomb count was, but he wants it as high as possible. So the items needed for a full go mode, there are multiple different configurations, and it all comes down to the runner's skill. For example, we have some runners that would never need to pick up Gravity Suit, as they know how to employ a series of tricks to do something known as Suitless Meridia, in which you go through all of Meridia just having either your standard power suit or just having Varia suit. However, this is obviously very slow and you'd want to avoid it, unless gravity's at some really out of the way check. But yeah, Zero in chat there posting a pretty good guide to the items that you will optimally want. Yeah, Varia and Gravity, both of the suits are arguably the most important items to find. Yeah. And right now we see Zero paying for skipping that wrecked ship E-tank check. He has to use power bombs to kill all of the Metroids. Yeah. However, once we see Xerolayne clear out these Metroid rooms, we're going to seriously run out of places that Tilimorf can make up time with that Ice Beam. I'm not sure if Xerolayne knows how to do Zep Skip with speed. Yep. Yeah, Tilimorf does have stand-up open to him, whereas Xerolayne does not, because stand-up glitch requires 7 E-tanks. However, with Charge Ice Wave, that saves very little time. Oh, that's a very pretty pink Golden 4. I like that. Sometimes, every now and then, colors randomization comes with something nice. And we see some liquefied cotton candy in Turian. I don't know about Tilimorf skipping some of these super drops. Okay, looks like he was planning on going for a grouping strat here. Has a little bit of struggle with it. And Xerolayne is taking the save first. Not a bad play when you're in a bit of an awkward situation with needing a lot of charge shots. Especially since it looks like he's not going for speed Zeb skip. And Zeb skip, or the Zebetite glitch, is a glitch that just allows you to pass through these gates. We should be seeing it on Tilimorph's side, as he has ice available and a much easier version of Zeb skip available. Ooh, and it looks like Tilimorph had a little bit of a case of Magnet Samus there. That happens with this game. And Xerolayne wants to save his super missiles for the end of the fight. This is interesting. It really all comes down to what you feel more comfortable with. Once Mother Brain starts firing her ketchup beams, they're much easier to avoid. However, if you do get hit by just a couple of them, that's game over. So chat asking if Spazer or Ice adds more damage. They are actually both equal, Ice Spazer and Ice Wave. Or, sorry, no. You're looking at Ice Wave versus Wave Spazer. Wave Spazer does 210 damage compared to Ice Wave's 180. So, Wave Spazer has a slight advantage. However, Tilimorph is also entering this fight with 31 supers compared to Xerolayne's 21. And this match has gotten pretty close. Unfortunately, Xerolayne still has a pretty commanding lead. Baby skip shouldn't be enough to bring it back, unfortunately. It's been a very close race, and seeing both of our runners on Mother Brain 2 at the same time is always a treat. Xerolayne will have a much easier escape, though. Yeah, I believe optimally, a speedless escape is 20 seconds slower. Blue ketchup. I wasn't around for that. Maybe Tilimorph's Mother Brain is just shooting that Sonic curry. Yeah. In this specific case, yes, the runner with speed will be finishing first. However, if we saw both of our runners entering Turian at the same time, obviously it would have been a different story. At the end, it did come down to just what checks our runners made. They both performed very well tonight. And they'll both be putting out really good times. Sub 110 is always nice to see. And that is Mother Brain 3 for Xerolayne. Now he just has to make a pretty cozy escape, and he will dot done. Yep, and meanwhile, Tilimorf is beginning his Mother Brain 3. Both of our runners extremely close. They've both, like, what a race to see, and a grudge match at that. A repeat of last year's winners semifinals for the mouse bracket. Alright, Tilimorf doing a little bit of swag there, morphing to drop those bombs. Yeah, Zero got his revenge. For those who were not around at this time last year, Tilimorf in the winners semifinals of the SMRAT mouse bracket knocked Xerolayne down to losers. However, just now we saw Xerolayne finish up with an official SRA time of 105.07. GG. Alright, and now we are joined by Xerolayne. Xerolayne, congrats on the race.
Thank you very much.
How you feeling about this seed?
I'm a little surprised that it came out on top on that one, but the seed was very interestingly balanced. I actually really liked that.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of balance, we saw both you and Tilimorf having nearly identical item sets. The main differences were Tilimorf got ice at Wrecked Ship E-Tank and skipped that Spazer at Ridley,
Mm.
and Tilimorf used that ice, whereas you used speed.
Seems fair enough. Did Tilly take an unfortunate death somewhere?
Uh, no. I'm trying to remember what checks he made. He was
It's just
he didn't go up
mhm,
and he didn't yeah, he entered wrecked ship before you.
mhm.
Um so he lost a fair bit of time to having to do wrecked ship without a space jump. You caught up to him on that one.
Okay. I faced off with Tilly last year, and I know that Tilly's skill level is really high, so I'm
Mhm.
glad that I was able to do like it was a smooth run. I was very glad. I was very happy with my overall performance. Um, yeah, I
Mhm.
figured the one thing that might give me an edge was when I found Varia and said, okay, I know Varia and Screw Attack are both in Wrecked Ship. That's got to be all that's useful in Wrecked Ship, but apparently not. And when I found Gravity, I went, I really would have been uh, very sidetracked finding
Mhm.
Gravity in the business center and going, oh, Varia must be somewhere in Meridia. So I thought maybe I had a shot if maybe Tilly's routing went
Yeah.
something like that. But
Oh yeah, that was
yeah,
the other major gain on you. I believe Tilly full cleared wrecked ship. And we're joined by Tilimorph now. Tilimorph, GG.
Yeah, GG.
definite GG's. I guess that was a really close one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Screw at the top of wrecked ship. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cleared it, but oh well.
Well, I mean, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, Screw's up there. I'm definitely going to go get that. When I found Varia, I went Varia and Screw. Like, I got to get out of Wrecked Ship. Those are the only two good items that are going to be up here. But I hear there was more.
Yeah, we were speculating that maybe you hopped out of wrecked ship because you realized that with the gravity, I'm pretty sure the only location in logic for Varia was high jump boots, based on what you had checked?
I sort of had a suspicion that it was gonna be like something terrible, like wave beam would be in the business center, and I would go, "Oh, like I guess one of the suits was behind Wavegate when I only had 3 attempts at it and didn't manage to get in."
Yeah,
So I tried to just be like, "Okay, like how can I hustle? What can I do that I'm gonna feel
mhm,
comfortable with?" So it was like 3 shots at the Wavegate. It
yeah,
was, like a pretty low ammo count overall where I'm like, my beam combo is nothing, basically. So
yeah,
finding Wave and then Spazer that quickly together really helped me feel more comfortable.
yeah. For future reference, I believe you were trying to do the wavegate glitch from within the door, and if you have high jump boots, then you just do it from the floor.
I've seen it, but like it's really the only way that I've practiced it, and I know that I can get the timing from the door with like either way. So I was just doing what I was comfortable with at that point.
Wait, you've gotten wavegate glitch with high jump boots in the door?
Yep.
I didn't know that was possible. Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
like
well, ignore me
I've seen
then.
it before.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just all tech things like I'm not very good at short charging, and there's other stuff that I'm
Mhm.
not perfect at, but I'm like, I'm gonna stick with what I'm comfortable with because this is SMRAT, and I'm not gonna try anything fancy. Because every time I do, I go right down the toilet.
Yeah. Well, it seems to have worked out for you today. Yeah, both of you took pretty similar routes throughout the beginning. You both did the reverse meme route.
Yeah, after finding enough power bombs to do it, that seemed like I don't know the right
Mhm.
thing to do to find like to check enough items.
Yeah, but yeah, Tilly, how did you feel about the seat overall?
I felt like it was pretty straightforward. I did feel like I was a bit too thorough in backtracking and checking items, but it still felt like a really fast seed and went pretty well. And just like Zero said, finding Wave, I actually never found Spazer, but Wave was a really nice find right before Ridley.
Yeah, so Spazer was behind Ridley.
I see. Okay.
I ducked in because I'm like, I'm hoping for something like super missiles would have been fine right then because I was still like, I'm gonna feel a little bit tightened on trying to go into Turian with too little ammo and just having to do too much work on Mother Brain 2 with like a sad beam combo. But when I found Spazer there, I was like, okay, like that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think both of you made some good choices throughout. It just happened to be uh, that you Zero, you found that speed booster. That was huge.
Who was
That's
speed?
right.
It was Norfair Reserve.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I was going into Bubble Mountain thinking I need to do extra checks because I I don't have ice or speed, and then also still need some more ammo to feel more comfortable. So it's like I'm just going to do Bubble Mountain stuff right now because it's all condensed. And as soon as it like in my brain and then out of my mouth, I said, "Okay, I'm looking for like ice or speed or more supers." And as soon as I said that, I found speed, and I was like, "Well, speak of the
yeah,
devil."
yeah. It was wonderful timing. Because it was a little bit scary there for a while. It was like, you skipped over that ice beam. If you don't find speed soon, then who knows?
Yeah, I really could have been stuck.
Yeah. Uh, well, GG's to both of our runners. I believe Zero, are you now 2-0?
I am now 2-0 apparently, which I'm surprised by.
Yeah, gee,
Well, congrats.
yes. We were
Yeah.
within 2 minutes of each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
how does it feel to have gotten your revenge from last year?
Unexpected. Like I was saying earlier, like I'm happy with my performance and my decision making didn't end up being like backfiring in some huge way on me. So I feel like I did well and within the context of the seed did well and that just happened to be enough to get me over the line this time, but I know for sure that Tilly beat me by much more than I managed to squeak out today like last year. So I'm very well aware of my bread is buttered on kind of situation there. But now that I'm 2-0, it's just going to be a whole litany of really, really good players that I'm going to have the misfortune of running up against.
Well, I wish you both the best of luck in your future matches.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for commentating and restream. These are always fun to watch back.
Most definitely. Thanks to
Yeah, of
everybody behind the
course.
scenes who helps with everything and setting all this up. Jay and Red and everyone. Thank you so much to everybody.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts on the seed or anything you'd like to say to our audience today?
Follow
Did
Tilly.
anyone did anyone happen to see where Plasma was? I forgot to watch the credits.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't catch it.
Anybody in chat?
Also, follow Xerolayne as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure to follow both of our runners today. Be sure to go follow. We had Music75 on tracking and Redemption on restreaming today. I've been Glove on commentating, and it looks like we're going to be rating Gameaholic 2D, so be sure to stick around, give them some love. And with everything else out of the way, we'll see you all next mission.
Good night.